Now we'll discuss some of the ethical traditions which are there in India. So, India has a long heritage of very strong ethical beliefs and virtues which has been given to us by our scriptures, and mainly if you are reading Bhagavad Gita, we get so much of in-depth understanding of the what is righteousness in terms of Gita. So in this discussion we are going to focus mainly on some of the virtues as discussed in Gita and also in the Islamic teachings, and we'll find like the business people in the business ethics, we can learn a lot from this. We can also learn lot from understanding Gandhian way of viewing the what is ethics, and Sri Aurobindo's concepts on business ethics also. So the Bhagavad Gita has many instances where how moral values and ethics can be incorporated in one's work life. So many of its verses are directly significant for the modern manager. So chapter 2 verse 47 says, you have the right to perform the duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your action. So never consider yourself as the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So this is an important message of the Gita for the performer of the action. Has to only to prescribe the prescribed duty and not to indulge in the result of the action. So if the result of the action is of the work is left to the Lord, then the on the realization, maybe on the result which is beyond his control. So this gives to a state of mental balance and peace. So and this is what we understand by nishkam karma. It's very difficult to difficult state to achieve, but if done, then it gives rise to mental tranquility and balance, where people are moved towards doing their part of responsibility very well. And of course at the end, if the responsibilities are taken care of well and everybody understands their own part of responsibility for the work, then the result is ultimately generated. So but this is the like everybody has to be on the same tune. So if in the organizational context also, if everybody is worried about the result, then that may sometimes lead to improper activities. So but if everybody is ready to do his or her duty to the maximum of one's ability, and to without like thinking of what would be the result or not, so that may lead to an ethical behavior and ethical organization, because it is a reciprocating of duty towards each other and doing one part of duty, one's own part of duty well. The verse, chapter 2 verse 56 says, one who is not disturbed in mind admits the threefold misery, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fears and anger is called a sage of steady mind. So it's like if you can find out like attachment, fear and anger, we know like these sometimes gives rise to conflict of interests happening. And so in that case, if you're able to keep yourself aside from this, may lead to like happiness in the sense of mental peace. So and this steady mind, a stable mind, is a mental state. This tranquility is a mental state where which is desirable in one's work life, to retain one's own integrity in the work that the person is doing. So, because only it's a steady mind which gives rise to a right action. So, the right attitude and the right direction to find out. If the mind is disturbed, maybe the process becomes like disturbed in the sense because we are not able to connect the start with the end and how to reach that goal. So, Lord Krishna's promise in the 7th and 8th verse of chapter 4 of the Gita, like whenever evil dominates, the Lord takes an avatar to set right the situation and re-establish dharma. So, and whenever there is a decline of dharma and ascendance of adharma, the Lord manifests itself. So, this talks of like whenever there is a disbalance of like the unethical becoming more than the ethical, or when there is the unethical dominates over the righteous virtues, then there is always a part of one good self which comes out, like, and this is where like you see, like even if you take this as a situation in your mind where you are like maybe having a fight, you are having a dilemma between what is right and what is wrong. How do I decide what is right and what is wrong? So because, and it is a situation like where you talk of like whether to do this is right, whether to do that because this is right, because the whatever is on the something may appear to be more attractive, something where the evil dominates may appear to be more attractive, like, and then you have to take a decision. So in those cases, at the end of the day, like it means even if at the end of the day actually the right which is there gets the prominence. So even in society that you find, if things are happening like this, if you are talking from the stakeholder model of business ethics, so if it so happens like on one side you find some exploitations are going on and on, another side there is something which is is in such a situation where you find like there are a lot of behaviors going on which becomes morally questionable, then there are always people's inner self which talks of like in the there are the whole society maybe starts talking of the thing, movement starts where which starts to speak against this the situations, the immoral situations that may be prevailing. So if we can think of this as symbolization, like when this in the Gita it is told like whenever the evil dominates, the Lord takes an avatar to set right the situation and re-establish the dharma. So there is where maybe when the society, the relationship between the stakeholders, different stakeholders, you find like something is going wrong, something which is not expected. Sometimes we find it is the this leadership role, when if this Lord is the symbolization of the leadership who takes up a position could be the CSOs, could be the people from the any of the stakeholders who can speak up and who starts trying to set the situations right. There could be any one organization also, business organization, who feels like no, this is not the correct way to do the business. So this is a very symbolic representation where we can think of like even if the evil dominates, so somebody has to take the avatar of the Lord to set the situation right and re-establish the dharma. So this leadership initiative could be taken by anyone, any of the stakeholders, to balance the tranquility. So this is a very important learning, where like if you're trying to connect it with the corporate citizenship behavior also, this is a very important learning about the role of the business organization, where we can say like even when we are going to maybe a developing country as an MNC and trying to see things happening, how things are happening over there, or in our own country also, if we find like maybe certain things are going wrong, if the business houses find certain things are going wrong, then it can take up a leadership role in maybe trying to set things correct by virtue of the power it has in terms of maybe power to contribute to the economy, or power in the relationship with the government, or the government can also take up a leadership role, the CSO can take up a leadership role. So whenever there is some situations prevailing as per any of the stakeholders which are there in the ecosystem, there is something which is prevailing, which is morally questionable, so any of the stakeholders can take up this leadership role, initiate a movement to set things correct. And it could be anyone, any of the from the stakeholders. And the end of the day, then bring the situations to a tranquility. From the Islam and rules that could be related to business from Islam, we find like the Prophet has traced on honesty and truthfulness in business. So according to the teaching, it is Prophet says like the God shows mercy to a person who is kind when he sells, but sells when he buys and when he makes a claim. His teaching covers a wide range of business and economics, and what you find like there are commandments given in which like it's no fraud or deceit, no excessive oath in a sale, need for mutual consent, be strict in regards to weights and measures, against monopoly, whoever monopolizes is a sinner, free enterprise, hoarding is forbidden, forbidden transactions are transactions of forbidden things are also forbidden. So and there is lots of stress given on honesty, truthfulness, fulfillment of trust and commitments, while elimination of fraud, cheating and cutthroat competition. So Sharia bans the taking of interest, because according to this law, investors can make profits only from business based on exchange of assets and not on money. So these may give, these type of things may give rise to like portfolios which are called clean stocks and like Sharia compliant stocks in the stock exchanges, which were this, which based on this the portfolio where the principles are followed, may give rise to ethical investments also. So these are very important ways of looking into business. So the Gandhian principle looks into the trusteeship model, where according to Mahatma Gandhi, his teaching is like we are only the trustee of the business and the custodian of the wealth which is meant to be used for the purpose of the business. So, and like he advocated the Sarvodaya principle, means which is welfare for all. So, in the present scenario, Gandhian's philosophy of trusteeship has got more relevance in the when you're talking of business houses getting involved in like social activities for the social causes. So, and the trusteeship model helps us to, like when you focus into the governance issues also, like when you're talking of the agency relationship, where the management is actually the trustee of the people's money, and the industrialist or the businessman should consider himself to be a trustee of the wealth he possesses, or the managers the trustee of the wealth that maybe the shareholders have given them, and they have to see it like they function in the stakeholders' interest. So these are very important issues while maybe we are thinking of the corporate governance issues. Also, Sri Aurobindo's teaching on the fact which gives us the way that we do the guidelines for the way that we do the businesses. According to Sri Aurobindo, there is nothing wrong in the type of business that you do, but the process that you do it, the way that you do it, and the intention that you do it, these are very important. So there is nothing wrong in doing a business, but the process that you take to do it, each of the processes, and the intention with what you take your steps forward for these are important ways, guidelines for judging whether your business is value oriented or not. So in the present context, when the values, how finding out guidelines how to do our business in a more ethical way, and so that we can do it in the value based business, which can help to integrate the business with our personal value system, with the business values, with the society's value system also, and tranquility is maintained, the sustainability is maintained not only for present but also for the future generation, along with the ethical principles that we have learned, the different theories of ethical decision making that we have learned, like whether it is utilitarianism or rights or justice or care or virtue, discourse ethics and postmodern ethics. Along with those, the teachings from the Indian perspective, from the Eastern perspectives, are also very important to make a balanced decision for running our business in a value oriented way. So these together, the analytical way of decision making that we have thought of, and through the Western perspectives that we have got, along with the Eastern perspective and the principles that we have got from these scriptures and spiritual guidances, both together helps us to take a well balanced decision for the business. Thank you.